Stalin's son from his first marriage, Yakov Dzhugashvili, was born in 1907. Until the age of 14 he was brought up by his aunt, knowing neither his mother nor his father. His mother died in early childhood, and his father lived in Moscow with his new family. Despite the fact that Yakov was Stalin's own son, his father was never able to accept his son. Yakov Dzhugashvili's short life could not be called easy, as he constantly tried to prove his worth and decency to his father. Conflicts with his father led the young man to a suicide attempt, which was not successful, but brought him a prolonged illness. After graduating from the Artillery Academy of the Red Army, Yakov became a commander of an artillery battery. Just a month after his appointment, the Great Patriotic War began. On the very first day of the war, Stalin gave his son a parting word before sending him to the front. However, it took only 20 days for Yakov Stalin to take part in the hostilities. He disappeared and his search for him was unsuccessful. Some time later it turned out that he was a German prisoner of war. The Germans attempted to turn this fact to their advantage by issuing a leaflet with an appeal from Stalin's son to the Russian troops, urging them to lay down their arms. Propaganda attack by the Germans was aimed at showing their nobility in relation to the prisoners and strengthening the credibility of the Wehrmacht. The further whereabouts of Stalin's son can be traced in several POW camps over a period of 2 years. Yakov's life ends in the Sachsenhausen camp, where he was shot by a German sentry at the fence on April 14, 1943. Interestingly, Stalin was immediately informed of his eldest son's arrest, but he made no attempt to free him. "I don't change a soldier for a field marshal," the famous phrase Stalin allegedly said in response to a proposal to exchange prisoner Field Marshal Paulus for Yakov Dzhugashvili. Was he really so callous that he gave up on his own son, or was he aware of the true state of affairs, which historians began to guess only many years later? The well-known Soviet historian Pavel Pryanikov said that the German secret services used Yakov Stalin's name to conduct one of the most sophisticated operations against the Soviet Union, which lasted almost 2 years and had an impact on the commander-in-chief of the Soviet armed forces. Researchers point out some very important inconsistencies and oddities in this case. They unanimously agree to the opinion that Yakov Stalin was killed at the beginning of the war, which learned the German secret service and quickly organized a double and the accompanying entourage. Firstly, studying the interrogation protocols of Stalin's son, made by the Germans immediately after his capture, it seems very strange to them that Yakov did not give up any secret information about the life of the Soviet leadership, which he must have had. Secondly, the strangeness can be seen in the leaflets with which the Germans literally poured over the front lines of the Soviet Union. On these leaflets were printed pictures of Yakov standing next to Wehrmacht officers urging them to surrender. In these pictures both light and shadow fall from one side, his tunic is buttoned up in a woman's way, in summer Dzhugashvili is wearing an overcoat, and he is also looking away in all the pictures. Thirdly, historians point out that there are no newsreels or recordings of Stalin's son during his 2 years in captivity. And fourthly, it seems strange Yakov's death itself. It was almost suicide, committed at a time when there was a real chance of release. As eyewitnesses say, there were no preconditions for such effective behavior of Yakov. The photo of Stalin's dead son was very blurry and indistinct. In addition to all of the above facts, there is a fingerprint examination of a note written by Yakov to his father, which shows the inconsistency of handwriting. During the war, no one paid attention to these nuances. Only after the war did all these facts come to light and lead to the conclusion that Yakov Dzhugashvili had never been a German prisoner of war.